Okay, so what we're going to talk about today and what y'all are going to learn about as we work through this lesson is something called jelly printing. So jelly printing is a type of mono printing, and we'll get more into different types of printmaking and things like that. But what you need to know is that printmaking is anything that is created on one surface. So you make a design on one surface and then you put it on another one. Kind of like making a stamp or something like that. The cool thing about mono printing is that it means that there can only be one. So a lot of times people create printmaking artworks because it's easy to reproduce and it's easy to make multiple ones of the same thing. But with mono printing, each one is completely unique, even if you try to do the same thing over and over again. So I have a few prints that I made with the jelly plates, the jelly printing technique to show y'all, just some simple circular designs. So what we're gonna do is you are going to watch this video and you are going to make sure that you're paying attention to the procedures, the how-tos, all of that stuff. And then when we come in later, probably tomorrow, we'll be able to kind of get into printing and just really have some fun with it. What I love about these is it's really easy to get some awesome, successful products very quickly and fairly simply, but it can look really cool. You can practice all your design skills and all the stuff that you've learned throughout the year. So what I want us to first walk through is all the different types of supplies that you're gonna need or things that will be at your table. So first and foremost for jelly printing, we have to have our jelly plate. So y'all see me talk about this and have this open and up in class, and you're finally about to get to use one of these. When you get your jelly plate out of your supply box or handed to you before you start printing, it will have these two plastic things on here. These are super important. Do not lose these. What you'll need to do is you'll need to pull off the front and then the back and then just set them aside. It would be a good idea for everyone at your table to stack those with each other or just put them back in the tub that you're using. So you'll have your jelly plate, and like I said, just make sure that you put these two vellum, they're like plastic vellum sheets, aside because you'll need them at the end so that you can stack your plates next to each other. What these do is these keep the jelly plates from sticking to each other while we're using them. So make sure you set those aside in a place that you can find them. So what we're gonna start with and how you're gonna start with your printing is you'll need a few things. You'll need obviously the plate. You'll need this tool that's called a brayer. It looks like something you would like paint the ceiling with or paint your walls with at your house. You will need a piece of scrap paper to set to the side, and you'll see why you'll use that in a minute. And then you'll need whatever paper that you want to print on. So there's going to be a variety of options. Like on this one, I did the tan paper. I'll have different sizes and things cut for you guys, and also different construction paper that we can kind of play with. You'll also have at your table a variety of things to make different textures and shapes. Like on these circular ones I was showing you, like how I created this was by using a tape roll, an old tape roll that was almost out. You'll have tons of options of that kind of stuff, and we'll have to work through just sharing those things with each other because we'll have different things at each table. So you might see these little air bubbles in your jelly plate. Those don't really matter. What that is just between the bottom of the plate and the paper that you're painting on. Oh, very important. You will need to have a piece of the photo paper. So that photo paper that we painted on some, you'll all need to have photo paper, what we did clay on, all that stuff at your spot. So you can make sure that you are not getting paint all over the table because this can be pretty messy. So how you go about doing the printing process and how you get these like super cool designs like what we've made before is you create your design on the plate. So you're going to use a combination of acrylic paints and different texture objects to create different textures. So what I'm going to do is I think I want to start with yellow because I want to do some layering on mine. So I'm going to start with yellow, and you put the paint directly on the plate. So you only need just a little. A very little goes a long way. It's really easy to be wasteful in this. So literally like that's probably too much. That's all I'm going to use. You guys will have more like squirt bottles that you'll be able to use at your table. So then you're going to roll that yellow. See how I'm using this thing? This is a brayer, an ink brayer. It's used to smooth things out and smooth things around onto the plate. So I'm going to evenly spread this with my brayer. And you just have to be gentle. On these jelly plates, do not press hard, guys. Like, I'm barely putting any pressure down. But I'm also making sure that my rolling marks go all the way to the edge and are nice and even. So why I have this paper here is because I'm going to need to use this again in a little bit. So instead of washing it off every single time, I'm just going to roll it onto this paper. And you can't really see it because it's yellow, but you can kind of tell that it's starting to like clean that brayer off. So there's some right there still, so I'm going to make sure that I get that all off and make sure that it's ready to go when I need it again. Okay, well now I'm probably ready to print. So right now I just have my jelly plate with a solid color on it. No textures have been added. You can do all sorts of things. So what I might do is I might start with my fork. This is super important, guys. Anytime you're using anything to create a texture on this plate, you do not press it hard. You do not do indentions. It is a very light use of texture. So I'm going to use my fork, and I'm barely pressing down on it, guys. We do not want to destroy these. We want to make these last for years to come. So you guys have them in maybe like Art 3 or even in Art 2 next year. You want to make sure that we're taking care of our tools. So I created a texture or a design in there. What that does is it gets it ready to pull that print. So when I say pulling a print, it's pretty simple because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper, I'm going to line it up kind of where I want on this guy, and then I'm just going to gently place it on there. This is important, y'all. Listen, when it's on there, you don't want to move it a ton. You just want to gently press it down, because if you shift it, it's going to smear and like move your stuff all around, okay? So you want to make sure that you're just like gently pressing it down. And then this is what I mean by pulling a print. So what happened was my design was on the jelly plate, okay? I had all the paint on there ready to go. I placed my paper on here. I smoothed it out to make sure that it's going to get a good, nice transfer. And then I'm going to pull my print. So you can see it kind of made a really awesome pattern and something pretty funky to work with. So I'm super excited about that. That's going to be a really fun base layer. So we're going to work on working in layers, so it's important to start with the lighter color. Now you have all of this extra yellow paint. So this is another good vocab term, and you need to listen to it because you might have something with this on your assignment. What I'm about to do is called a ghost print, okay? So a ghost print is what happens after you have pulled your first print. So there's still some paint on here, right? I pulled my first print, okay, by creating my design on my plate and then placing this and pulling the print off of the plate. But there's still some usable ink here. So a lot of times what printmakers will do is they will take whatever's left, or whatever ink or paint or whatever medium they're using is left on their printing block, and they will just simply pull a ghost print. It's kind of called a ghost print because it's not as dark. It's a lot lighter than what they have. So then I'm going to pull this up. Look at how much paint was left on there, and I got another really awesome texture that I can build on, okay? So do you notice that this is definitely thicker, has a darker value, more saturated than the ghost print is like a ghost. It's a little lighter, a little airy. It's a remembrance or whatever was left, okay? So it's a ghost print. You'll be pulling multiples of those and all different types of things. So I'm going to take my original print, and that's what I'm going to keep using to layer. But Miss Beam, there's all of this paint on here still and yellow residue. So what y'all are going to do is you will just take a small paper towel, like nothing big, you'll have some at your table, and a spray bottle that you will all have at your table. We've had these for a while. And you go, once the water comes out, hold up. You'll get one, okay? So once the water comes out, took a second for me to get it. I'll go 1, 2, that's it. And you can use that water. You might have to hold your paper down. You can use that water to clean that paint off. If you need to do 1 or 2 more sprays at a time, just do 1 to 2 more sprays at a time. And now, look at how easy that was. My plate is ready to go. See, I have this there. You can put that to the side and use it again. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do, I think, some red. So again, all you need is just like a tiny drop. And like I said, you will have squirt bottles at your table, something a little bit easier to work with. So I'm going to get my red on there. We're using acrylic paint, by the way. It definitely works the best, in my opinion, and creates the richest color, and also works best with the jelly. So we're going to do that, and I have it nice and even, kind of all going the same direction, right? So what I'm going to do next is, you're right, you are going to take it and you're going to roll it off. See, you can see it a little bit better in this one. See how as I did it a couple times, it definitely smooths out a little bit more. These look like Mark Rothko, that artist that we looked at last semester. Okay, so gonna get it a little clean. It's okay if there's a little residue like that on there. That's just a well-used sprayer. Okay, I'm going to take my fork again, and I'm going to create some designs going the opposite direction here. Okay. But then I'm also going to take this fun little texture tool. See how this was something we used in paper quilling? But I'm going to create little designs all over it. Just gonna put them in various places. See how it's pulling that ink up? And it helps create that really cool design. So our color theory, our knowledge of color mixing is going to help us here. It's going to help us know how to mix our colors and all that jazz. Okay, so this is where it can get a little complicated, because you see how I have this square and then a square here, and I'm going to want to pull a print on top of this to add a layer. You're going to want to make sure that you line it up nice and neat. So what I like to do is I like to kind of like find a corner, and kind of figure out the best place. It's not going to be perfect, so don't stress about it. Oh, I think that was off. Oh, well. You just go with it. The beauty of jelly printing is it's hard for it to look like it is messed up. Okay. And then I'm going to pull my print, because I created my print on the plate, and I'm pulling the design off of it. How cool. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so you can keep layering. Or what I'm going to do now is I have this awesome thing. I want to save this ghost print for later, so I'll put it aside. So I'm going to pull another print on some yellow paper. Pull my ghost print on some yellow construction paper. Okay. So awesome. Okay, I love jelly printing, guys. So then what's next after this? Okay, you clean your plate. So I'm just going to reuse the same one. We're going to get 1, 2, maybe 3 if it's not a ton of water coming out. No more than like 4 or so sprays on it. And you're going to need to hold this stuff down, because watch what happens if I don't. So hold that down. Make sure you're putting some weight on it. I'm standing up while doing this, and that helps, okay? So again, if you need to spray it again, no more than 2 or 3 times. 3 is kind of seeming to be the magic number. If you need to get more paper or more paper towel, just tear off a little bit at a time, okay? I'm talking like that much at a time, okay, guys? 1, 2. Oh, there's not much water in here. There we go. Your spray bottles will be totally full with water. Okay, so I'm going to get those edges. See how there's some on the edges, too? You want to make sure that it's like totally cleaned up. Okay. So now that I'm kind of happy with how this guy is, I might add some more to it later, but I'm cool with that right now. I want to take this ghost print and I want to like add something on top of it. So what's going to be kind of cool is I want to do something a little different. So I'm going to do a warm start again, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put red, just a tiny bit of red there, okay? Then I'm going to do some color mixing. I'm going to do some blue. Right there. Maybe a little more. There we go. Okay. Watch this. So, if I take my blue, and I do it over here, and then I get my red. Oh, how cool is that, guys? Look. Okay. Again, this can get messy. Just go with it. So there's my cool. Look at that. Pretty sweet. Okay. Get it nice and even. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to create some designs going the opposite direction. Not the same as what I did before, but different. We're going to do some going this way. Whew. Again, do not press hard. I'm like barely putting any pressure on there, guys. I'm going to take this guy again. Or, you know what? So you're going to have things like this. That can be pretty cool. And I'm just going to like... Okay, you can treat it all like stamps, okay? You got to be careful, though, because sometimes it can, like, move around. It's kind of like a galaxy. Do y'all see how I'm making those things? Cool. Okay, so I did that, and I think I'm going to do this guy again. Do 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. I'm turning it every time. Top 10. 30, 10? I think so. Okay, so now that I have this done, you can, again, try to line it up as best as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to, what? Pull my print. Okay. So, wow, how cool is that, guys? So awesome. I love these. Okay, so I have a ghost print, and what I'm going to do is I am going to pull the ghost print on, I'm going to do it on this guy that I did yesterday. So I'm going to pull this one up, and I'm going to make sure it lines up as best as it can. Oh, that got off. Oh, well. So this is just a really fun way for you to like be creative and practice some awesome printmaking stuff. How cool. Isn't that awesome? So you could keep layering, keep doing some cool stuff on there. There's all sorts of things that you could use texture with. So when I did the tape, I just kind of like moved it around and did like different things with that. We're going to talk through some cleanup real quick. So what I want you to do is for cleanup, you need to make sure that you have your plate nice and ready to go. So I do several sprays. Again, my spray bottle is pretty empty. I don't know why. And you will have a designated person at your table that is responsible for washing your plate off, okay? I'm going to take you over to the sink, and we'll talk about that cleanup stuff in just a second, okay? So, I hope this helps. Again, to review the supplies real quick. Oh, I never cleaned off my brayer. Review the supplies real quick. You have your jelly plate, your brayer, your extra sheet of paper to clean the brayer off. You're going to pull your main print. So pull your main print, and then you're going to pull your ghost print, okay? That's a lot of our vocabulary that we're talking about. You can mix colors. You can do all sorts of different like textures and designs on there. Super fun, okay? So also remember that you have these two guys that go on either side of your jelly plate whenever you're working with it. And so you need to make sure that you always keep up with those because those are going to go back on top of it. So let's head over to the sink and we're going to talk about how to do our cleanup properly. Okay, so it's time to talk some cleanup. So you'll have two main things that you need to clean up, your jelly plate and your brayer. So I'm going to start with the jelly plate. Again, you will have like a designated person at each spot. All you need to do is you need to take it and then, you need to take your plate. In your hand, I will have soap, and you will take 1 pump of that liquid soap in your hand. And you will rub it on the both sides because you got paint on the other side, I'm sure. Rub it on both sides, okay? It's going to feel kind of funny in your hands, and then you're going to turn the water on. Just like we did in our watercolor stuff, don't turn it on super high. Just make sure you turn it on just enough. That's probably good. And you're going to make sure that you get all of that soap and stuff off of your jelly plate, okay? Kind of like washing a dish. There might be some color left over on it, and that's okay. You just want to make sure that you're getting it as clean as you possibly can. Okay. especially if you're using red or anything like that, it's gonna kind of stay on there. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So then what you'll do is you'll have paper towels ready, and you are not going to take this and like scrub it. All you need to do is just kind of press it, pat it a little bit, see how it's soaking up that water. Pat it a little bit. Okay. And that is good to go. Okay, so you'll put that aside, and then you have your brayer. What I like to do for the brayer is I like to get a paper towel, kind of damp, and then I like to just wipe it down. Okay, just wipe it down. You don't have to get it perfectly clean. We just want to make sure that we're not getting a ton of paint buildup on there. Okay, you wipe it down just like that. And then what's helpful too is if you get a paper towel, I'll show you all over here. You get a paper towel. I'll move you. You get a paper towel, and then all you do is you like roll it out some, okay? So just roll it out nice and clean, and you're good. After you have your jelly plate cleaned up and you're ready to put it away, you will need to do not put it back down on this, don't put it on this, just keep it in your hands until you get back to your desk and you're ready to put the plastic covers on top of it. So what I like to do is I like to just kind of line it up on the edges as best as I can. Make sure there's nothing sticking out. I like to get it on there as best as I can. Lay it flat, okay? If you realize as you're doing it that there's some stuff like that, just get a wet paper towel and clean that off, okay? Just like that. Perfect. And then you'll get the other side and do the same thing, okay? It shouldn't have a ton of air bubbles. Try to get them out as best as you can. It's super important to make sure this is as dry as it can be, so that way it doesn't have those bubbles that dry on it, and it can cause indentions and permanent damage to the plate. So let's make sure we're taking care of these, okay guys? What you'll need to do is if you have anything like this, you won't need to like wash it off. Just use a paper towel to kind of wipe it off as best as you can, okay? And those will go back in the middle. The tub's in the middle of your table. You'll take this guy, you will toss it and throw it away. And then you'll need to take your jelly prints that you have created. Make sure your name is on the back, not the front, and then you'll put these on the drying rack. If they feel kind of dry, you will be welcome to go ahead and take them with you, but we will talk about that later, okay? So after you're done in the middle of your tub, you should have a brayer, your plate, all your texture supplies, and you're good to go.